Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are smack dab in the middle of March. Spring is just around the corner. So today's video is all about preparing our lawn, preparing our grass for spring. So I just had the sprinkler going, and last weekend I made a great effort to start watering the entire lawn here in the backyard and in the front yard. But as I was taking a stroll here in the backyard, I noticed that we had a clear infestation of not only dandelions, not only clover, but nutsedge, crabgrass, and a variety of horrendous weeds. I'm not entirely sure what they're called. So in today's video, in preparing our lawn, our grass for springtime, our first objective is to not only water the lawn, but our second objective is going to be to clearly identify each and every different weed species that we have going on, so we can know how to effectively battle those pesky weeds. So in the last year, I've made a greater effort. Excuse me, it's a little bit windy, it's a little bit chilly and breezy, so excuse me if my sinuses, if my nose is a little runny. But in the last year, I've taken a greater effort to help my boyfriend out with maintaining the lawn, the grass, in the front yard, in the backyard. And I've even learned how to fire up the lawnmower, the edger, and how to run the lawnmower and the edger. But in the past year, I have learned that one of the best ways of really having a healthy lawn is to have your grass be the dominant presence in your lawn. So here where I'm standing, as you can see, our Bermuda grass is the dominant presence. However, if we take a stroll over here along the wall, we can see various types of weeds. So I'm not entirely sure if these weeds right here are a type of crabgrass, Dallas grass, bahia. So I need to get on it to identify what exactly weeds are going on over here. But as you can see, we have either, is this crabgrass or Dallas grass? And then we have whatever pesky weed this is. So this weed is horrible. So in our battle against the weeds, I have different levels, categories. So first and foremost, the weeds that we first want to target and eliminate are any and all of the sticker weeds, goat heads, grass spurs, and that wretched little weed that, even though it may or may not have stickers the way goat heads and the way grass spurs do, but if you were to walk on this weed, it has the worst stickers alongside all along the stem and underneath the leaves, especially the larger leaves. This weed, whatever it is, has stickers that reminds me of the way a rose bush has thorns. It has thorns. That's what I should have said from the get-go, but this weed in particular has thorns. It's extremely uncomfortable to the touch. If you should pull it out without wearing gloves, or even if I were to pull it out wearing these gloves, which are not thick gardening gloves, those thorns would be very uncomfortable on the hands. If you should walk on those with your bare feet, they're very uncomfortable. So any sort of sticker weed, thorn weed, that is our first priority objective in eliminating from our lawn. So the weeds that we're kind of okay with are the dandelions and the clover. And in the last week, oftentimes I come to the backyard and I'll try to get a handle on the dandelions, pulling them up by the root. But I noticed some honeybees flying from blossom to blossom while the dandelions are still in their flower stage. The bees took no interest in the dandelions once they were in this stage, but I noticed we had a bunch of honeybees going from dandelion to dandelion when they're in this stage. So I'm a big fan of honeybees. So dandelions have now kind of made it up there on my good list with the weeds that I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. However, the weeds in the middle, so the crabgrass, the nutsedge, weeds such as that, where they're more of an annoying nuisance, those weeds we also are going to prioritize and trying to eliminate. But with weeds such as those, I'm hoping that once the lawn is no longer dormant, we're hoping that we'll have a healthy lawn that'll just choke out those weeds. So the real weeds that we want to take a really preemptive measure in eliminating are our thorn weeds and our sticker weeds. Alright guys, so like I said, as I'm kind of surveying the entire perimeter of the lawn, I am noticing certain sections of the lawn, interestingly enough, are worse off than others. So over here in this narrow stretch, we have a big problem with the nutsedge, with the dandelions, which, like I said, are no longer such an issue in my book, but if we can get a handle on them, we're going to try to get a handle on them. But the nutsedge, golly, is this crabgrass or, oh no, this may be grass spurs, because I'm seeing the almost like triangular nodules kind of. But again, one of our biggest objectives in getting our lawn prepared for spring is clearly identifying the weeds we have going on. So, oh no, this one's bad. So whatever this horrendous weed, I almost want to call it a crazy goat head weed. So goat heads are on our enemy list, priority number 1 list. But whatever this weed is, so this has a dark purple stem and bright purple flowers. I'm not entirely sure if I've ever come across this weed before, but we have one huge patch right here, and then one other patch over near where the garden is. So this kind of disheartens me to see this going on right here. But in our lawn, we have about 2 or 3 different species or varieties of Bermuda grass. And in the front lawn, we have the varieties of Bermuda, but we also have either a fescue and or Kentucky bluegrass and or a fescue Kentucky bluegrass blend. So I noticed in certain parts of our lawn, certain parts of the lawn is faring better than others. Over here, our Bermuda is clearly the dominant presence. However, the story changes near the wall. That is clearly not the case over here in this corner and along this narrow strip. I've noticed, interestingly enough, anywhere in our lawn where there seems to be a narrow strip of lawn, we tend to have a horrendous weed infestation. However, over here, it's not so narrow, but we have nothing but crabgrass, dandelion, and occasionally nutsedge. And occasionally that horrendous weed that's enemy number 1. But as we got further over here and over here, my favorite portions of the lawn where the Bermuda grass is clearly the dominant presence. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me as we're preparing our lawn for spring, clearly trying to identify the weeds we have going on. I'm actually somewhat embarrassed to really soak in the clear crabgrass infestation we have going on in this section and in this section. And if I didn't know any better 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would have said, hey, this portion of the lawn has stayed green all year. Well, that's because it's crabgrass for the most part, and or dandelions. So that is not good at all. And hopefully we can get maybe a good pre-emergent down. Hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully my boyfriend and I will be able to get to Lowe's or Home Depot and get a good pre-emergent, and or get a blanket pre-emergent that could hopefully target as many of the weeds situation we have going on. I know no such thing exists, a weed killer for all the weeds in your lawn, but I did notice Scott's had a pre-emergent that targeted, I believe, crabgrass and or was it dandelions? But now that dandelions are somewhat okay in my book, I would much prefer if the crabgrass and any and all of the sticker or thorn weeds were gone. But that's something for me to do research, look into. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me as we're preparing the lawn for spring. Alright guys, have a beautiful, awesome, incredible rest of your day. If you liked this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, suggestions, information, please leave it down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!